The mansion lies still on a Beverly Hills hillside. The windows shut tight, the curtains heavy with dust. And they say, sometimes, you can still hear laughter echoing through the halls, dry, hollow, lost in the night. Lucille Ball, once crowned the queen of American television. Every Monday night, her laughter poured into millions of homes, bringing joy to an entire generation. But in the end, she died alone. No cameras. No stage. Just a silent heartbeat fading in a hospital room, while the world outside still believed she was getting better. 70 years ago, America adored Lucy. Today, the house she once called home is up for sale. Her keepsakes auctioned off, one by one, from a Rolls-Royce to old love letters. The woman who once made a nation laugh is now just a name in a disputed estate file. Some deaths happen in a moment. Others unfold slowly, across a lifetime. Lucille Ball, born in 1911 in New York, was more than a star. She was the face of an entire generation. The first woman to own and run a major television studio in Hollywood. The first to bring family sitcoms into every American living room. And the first to make grown men cry over a comedy show. Do you remember I Love Lucy? It first aired in 1951. Every Monday night, families turned off the stove, gathered around the TV, and waited to see what the clumsy redhead would get herself into this time. She'd stumble through the living room, fake a faint, break into dance, or fall flat on her face, just to earn a single laugh. And that was enough. Enough to make a week feel a little lighter in post-war America. On screen, she was Lucy Ricardo, the naive wife always scheming to get into showbiz, always tripping up her bandleader husband Ricky. Off-screen, she was married to Desi Arnaz, the charming, talented Cuban musician who inspired Ricky's character. No one made audiences laugh like Lucille. But in an old interview, she once admitted, "I never thought I was funny. I just did what others were afraid to do, because I knew, if I fell, the whole country would laugh." Lucille Ball lost her father when she was just 3 years old. A fever, followed by a snowstorm. Henry Ball, her playful, gentle father, the man who taught her how to laugh, died from typhoid fever. She once recalled, "He used to throw me up in the air and always caught me just in time. Maybe that's why I've never been afraid of falling on stage." But after that fall, no one was there to catch Lucille anymore. Her mother remarried. The family moved to Celeron, New York, hoping for a new beginning. A small 3-bedroom house, a few pieces of furniture paid off week by week. And then, a single bullet shattered it all. On Lucille's 16th birthday, a tragic accident left a neighborhood boy paralyzed. His family sued, and won. They took everything, the house, the furniture, the insurance. Everything her mother had worked years to rebuild after losing her husband. Lucille later said, "My grandfather, the happiest man in the family, never worked again. He was crushed. That beautiful memory we had in Celeron disappeared that very night." Lucille's childhood wasn't just filled with loss. It carried wounds that had no name. When her mother was pregnant with her younger brother and her father was dying, little Lucille, just 3 years old, was tied up in the backyard with a dog leash so she wouldn't run off. "I used to beg passers-by to untie me," she wrote in her memoir. And that wasn't even the worst of it. After her father passed, the entire family was quarantined. No hugs. No comfort. Just silence. And walls. The first borders between Lucille and the world. From those early experiences, she grew up believing she had to do something, anything, to be loved. To not be left behind. Lucille Ball arrived in New York at 15, carrying a dream of the stage, and a stinging rejection. "You don't have what it takes to be an actress. You should give it up." That's what her drama teacher told her. But Lucille didn't give up. She dropped out of school. Took up modeling. Posed for advertisements. Worked in small theaters, joined B-movie sets. And then, in 1933, Hollywood cracked open a door, her first supporting role in Roman Scandals. From there, she climbed, step by step, quietly, persistently, for nearly 2 decades, until finally, American television was changed forever with the arrival of I Love Lucy. On screen, she did what no other actress of her time dared to do: fall flat on her face, grimace, shout, play the fool. Off-screen, she and her husband Desi Arnaz founded Desilu Productions, making her the first woman to run a major television studio in the US. Under her leadership, television history unfolded, not just I Love Lucy, but iconic shows like Star Trek and The Untouchables. She wasn't just an actress. She was a woman who shaped the very fabric of modern television. And yet, when asked about her success, Lucille only smiled and said, "I don't think I was funny. I just knew how to fall at the right time, and get back up in the right place." After every fall, she made a nation laugh. But behind each laugh, was a woman quietly wondering, was I ever truly enough to be loved? On television, Lucille Ball and Desi Arnaz were the perfect couple, loving, funny, inseparable. But behind the cameras were sleepless nights, nights when Desi wouldn't come home, and desperate midnight phone calls where Lucille would sob to friends, "Call a priest, do something." Desi Arnaz, her husband, was Cuban, charming, immensely talented. But he also battled alcohol, gambling, and infidelity. After every taping, when the audience applause still echoed through the studio, Lucy would quietly retreat backstage, trying not to cry. She didn't want anyone to see she was breaking. They married in 1940. But in 1960, after 20 years, Lucille filed for divorce, a decision the America of that time wasn't quite ready to understand. She once said, "He was like Jekyll and Hyde. When he was sober, he was the man I loved. When he drank, I feared him." And yet, love didn't vanish with the marriage. As Desi lay dying of cancer, they spoke every day. His final words to her were a quiet whisper, "I love you. Good luck with your show." Lucille would remarry comedian Gary Morton, but no one ever truly replaced Desi. There was more pain, too. Lucille suffered 2 miscarriages. The children she longed for never came, until later in life. She finally became a mother at 39 and again at 42. The joy was real, but never without shadows. Her son, Desi Jr., grew up in the spotlight, surrounded by fame and wealth, but often alone. He fathered a child at 15. Fell into drug addiction. Spent time in rehab. Lucille stood by him, but the exhaustion showed. "I'm a mother," she once admitted, "but I don't know how to be one." Her daughter, Lucy Arnaz, grew up in a house filled with glamour, but lacking presence. "What we needed wasn't cars or fame," she said. "We needed time with our mom and dad." Lucille Ball, the woman America called Lovable Lucy, was, in truth, often alone. She went to work, came home, read letters from fans, and quietly carried a truth she rarely said out loud: everyone wants to be loved. I became a clown, so no one would see I was sad. After Desi passed away, Lucille continued living alone in the Beverly Hills mansion, the home that once echoed with laughter, where children's voices rang out, and the scent of Desi's cigars lingered every Friday afternoon. But when she was gone, the house began to fall silent. Windows shut tight. Curtains heavy with dust. The backyard overgrown. And some say, those who lived there after swore they heard footsteps when no one was home. On certain nights, faint laughter would drift from the attic. No one was laughing. But somehow, it felt like Lucy never left. When Lucille Ball died in 1989, her estate was valued at around $40 million, roughly $80 million today. Part of it went to her 2 children. The rest to her second husband, Gary Morton. After Morton passed, his new wife, Susie, inherited everything he had left. And just a few years later, she auctioned it all off. Desi's love letters to Lucy. A Rolls-Royce. An Emmy Award. A dress. A painting Lucille had once made on a lonely day. One by one, each item was listed for sale. No longer memories, just assets. Her daughter, Lucy, tried to stop it. "I can't let them sell my mother like this," she said. But the law doesn't protect memories. To preserve even part of the legacy, Lucy would have needed to post a $250,000 bond, money she didn't have. Eventually, they struck a compromise. Lucy kept the awards and donated them to a museum. The rest went to auction in 2010. The total? $230,000. A life that once soared to the highest heights, reduced to a handful of keepsakes, resting quietly behind glass, or in someone's private collection, far from the world she once lit up. And that mansion, the home she once loved, now just a forgotten dot on a Beverly Hills real estate map. Lucille Ball didn't just leave behind laughter. She left behind something we often only recognize once it's gone, the quiet presence of a woman who once lived inside the memories of millions of American families. Lucille once said, "What I'm most proud of isn't my career, it's becoming a mother. Even if I never quite knew how to be one." She wasn't funny in a cheap way. She didn't go for easy laughs. She fell, for real. Stumbled, for real. Tried, for real. And behind every tumble was a moment when she reminded America, it's okay to fall. It's okay to laugh when everything's falling apart. Today, even as the world of entertainment moves faster than ever, there are still millions, especially those who grew up beside a black and white TV, who remember Lucy. Who remember a time when a single laugh from her could soften an entire day. Perhaps, her greatest legacy isn't found in the awards. It lives in the memories, the kind you can't auction off. If Lucille Ball ever made you laugh. If you still remember the feeling of your family gathered around a black and white screen, sharing in her laughter, then share it, a moment, a memory, a story about Lucy, in the comments below. Not just to remember, but to make sure that laughter is never forgotten.